Hey groups, I hope you're really, really well. Two quick things to let you know about before we get into some content for this session. Firstly, this coming Sunday, the 10th of November, we are going to do a bring and share lunch after the 11 o'clock service. It's an opportunity for community, for us to eat together, to spend some time together. We did it a few weeks ago at the end of September, and we're going to do it exactly the same. Jacket potatoes will be cooked and provided for you. What you need to do is come along, but also to bring your favourite jacket potato filling, and miraculously, everybody will be provided for, just like last time. And so we'll do a quick turnaround at the end of the service, set up the banqueting tables. So come along this coming Sunday. We'd love to have you there. Secondly, next Tuesday, which is the 12th of November, we're going to do Kingdom Come Night at church. We've done a number of these before, and we just thought right in the middle of term, with all that's going on, this is an opportunity to gather together as a community with one purpose, which is to seek the presence of God, to bring ourselves together in worship, to seek God's words for us as a community, to pray into different things, but primarily just to long to be in that place of encounter with God. And I'd love to invite you to be there. I think these evenings are always precious and powerful, and that there's something that God does through these evenings. So that's 7:30 next Tuesday, the 12th. And if you're able to come, to get a babysitter, come along. I think it'll be a really powerful evening. We are launching into a new series. We're going to be going through the book of Ruth in the Old Testament, and over the next 3 Sundays, we started it Sunday just gone. Ruth has 4 chapters, and it's a great opportunity to kind of really get stuck deep into this book. And oh my gosh, it is a gem of a book if you've not read it for a while. It's so beautifully crafted. I've loved getting into it over the last few days, and I really recommend that you take some time to read it, to chew it over slowly, prayerfully. Lord God, what are you saying to me through this book? And as we launch into today's session, this story starts with a family from Bethlehem launching out on a journey. It's an enforced journey caused by famine in the land of Bethlehem. Bethlehem means the place of bread. And here you have this family kind of walking away from home, walking away from the dream life that they had, to a totally different land, the land of Moab, east of the Dead Sea. And what is particularly kind of powerful about this journey, as the original readers of this story would have known well, is that the last place you would have expected a family from Israel looking for shelter and food and hospitality, the last place you would have expected them to head is the land of Moab, because there was a long history between Israel and the Moabites. Centuries of war, of cross-border massacres of villages. The hostility went right back to when the people of Israel were fleeing from slavery in Egypt, and they reached out to the king of Moab to help them, to provide food and water and shelter. And their request was met with hostility and rejection. They were driven away from the land, cursed. And from that moment on, this kind of deep mistrust set in the kind of Israelite psyche, and the stereotype that developed of the Moabites, that they were an inhospitable people. And so as the story is beginning to unfold, as firstly Ruth and Elimelech and their 2 sons travel and settle in Moab, and then Elimelech dies. Naomi is left as a widow, and her 2 sons marry. Ruth and Orpah, but then her two sons die, and just one thing after another goes wrong. Naomi gets to the point of saying, God's hand is against me. And you can kind of see almost feel the kind of sense of inevitability. We knew that this would happen. They should never have gone to seek hospitality in the land of Moab. But then the plot changes. For as Naomi is travelling back to the land of Israel, and imploring Orpah and Ruth, look, go back to your villages. You can rebuild your life. You can take husbands again. Your legal responsibilities to me have been released in the death of my sons. I'll travel back. You go back to your villages in Moab. And then we have this incredibly beautiful scene in which these women are weeping. We read that Ruth clung to Naomi, and then we read those kind of famous words from Ruth in verse 16. Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. And in that moment, all of these stereotypes that Naomi and the people of Israel had of this inhospitable people were being completely challenged and broken by Ruth's incredible devotion and commitment to this vulnerable woman, this widow, and this friendship that had been forged through tragedy and loss had bonded these women together against all the forces, cultural and ethnic and geographical and generational forces that pulled them apart. If you're looking for an autumn read, I want to really recommend this little book, Borders and Belonging, and it's a commentary on the book of Ruth, but it's come from a really interesting place. There's a community in Northern Ireland called the Coromila community, and it's Northern Ireland's oldest peace and reconciliation community. It's a Christian community, and at the time of Brexit, the kind of some of the deep-seated hurts and anxieties that had existed in Northern Ireland were being sort of surfaced by Brexit. And so the Coromila community set up all these community conversations, and they decided that the book of Ruth would be the ideal book to open up some of the issues of people crossing borders, stereotypes that existed, two communities coexisting side by side but living in hostility. And in one of the sections of the book, there's Glenn Jordan, one of the authors, writes about the process of stereotyping. And maybe this resonates with you. He writes this: we stereotype a people group when we apply to them a fixed and generalised set of beliefs about them. In some ways, it seems inevitable, in that it enables us to respond quickly to certain situations because we're able to apply the benefit of select prior experience. When stereotyping becomes dangerous is when we ignore differences between individuals in that people group. Stereotypes simplify our social world and reduce the amount of data we have to process about our social interactions. It is easier to say that all Moabites lack generosity, or all British people want to dominate Irish people, or all Mexicans want to take advantage of American prosperity, rather than deal with the complexity of the individual standing before us. And it's this individual, it's Ruth and Naomi's kind of developing kind of relationship with Ruth that completely breaks down the stereotypes that the people of Israel had of the Moabites. So I'm going to invite you to kind of ask some questions yourselves around how stereotyping might be at work in your own life, in your own context, and how, I suppose, as people of faith, can we be open to those stereotypes being challenged, to God being at work beyond the borders of our own comfort zones, amongst people that we might, have our own barriers between and suspicions of, and how can we expect God to be gently pushing us out beyond ourselves. So I hope you have a really great discussion, and bless you all.